Hello everyone. Today we will study the second chapter of class 10, that is Indian Physiography. In this lesson we will cover the topics: general features of landforms of India, physiographic division of India, important features of physical division. Now let's start with the chapter. India is a vast country and it has a variety of landforms. They include mountains, plateaus, plains, valleys and the coastal plains. Here, valleys means a land between hill and mountain along with river. It is called as valleys. And plateau means the flat area or land. It is called as plateaus. These have influence on the river systems, climate, natural vegetation. Vegetation means plants and forests. It is called as vegetation. Land use, agriculture, transport, distribution of population, etc. Now we will see the physiographic division of India. Physiographic means physical division. On the basis of physiography, India can be divided into four major divisions. They are the northern mountains, the northern Great Plains, the peninsular plateaus, and lastly the coastal plains and islands. Now we will see these four physical division of India on the map. Here itself you can see in the map the northern mountain, the upper area of India, it is Himalayas mountain or the northern mountain. Afterwards itself the northern plains. Okay, and the third physical division of India is peninsular plateau. In the middle of the map it is. Okay, it is peninsular plateau. This peninsular plateau is further divided into eastern Ghats and western Ghats. Now the fourth physical division is coastal areas. This is also further divided into eastern coastal plains and western coastal plains. We will see these four physical divisions in detail. First it is the northern mountains. This northern mountain, the Himalayan mountain, is extend or passes from the areas of the countries like Nepal, Bhutan and India. They comprises of the Himalayas, which are a group of young fold mountains. Here young fold mountains means those who are in a proper manner or arrangement. It is called as young fold mountains. They extend as a continuous chain along the northern boundary of India. They are the highest mountain ranges in the world. They have highest peaks, deep valleys and gorges, glaciers, passes, etc. Here, gorge means the narrow passes or the narrow passage. It is called as gorge, and glaciers means the large water body of ice. It is called as glaciers, and passes means road. These all things are in northern mountain. In India, they extend from the Indus Gorge in the west to the Brahmaputra Gorge in the east for 2400 kilometers. Here it is Indus passes from the Tibet, Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab, this Indus river, and the Brahmaputra river passes from the states of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. Here they broader in the west and narrower in the east. They covered an area of 5 lakh kilometers. Generally, they have steep slopes towards India and gentle slopes towards Tibet in north. The Himalayas consist of 3 parallel ranges. This Himalayas is further divided in that it is called as Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas and Shivalik Hills. Now first we will see about the Greater Himalayas. Here there are the innermost, continuous and highest ranges. The average height of the range is 6100 meters. These ranges have many high peaks, of which Mount Everest 8848 meters is the highest peak in the world. The other peaks are Kanchenjunga 8559 meters, Makalo, Dholagiri, etc. As the Greater Himalayas are covered with snow throughout the year, these ranges are called as Himadri. Okay, the Greater Himalaya is also known as Himadri. They are the home of many glaciers. As I earlier said, the large water body of ice, it is called as glaciers, such as Gangotri and Yamuna glaciers. The mountain lines to the northwest of the Himadri are called Trans-Himalayas. They comprises of Karakoram range, where the highest peak is K2 or Mount Godwin Estate is located. It is the highest peak in India. Here the K2 mountain range is in Kashmir. And what is the reason why it is called as K2? It was the second peak that was measured in that Karakoram range. Down the second part is the Lesser Himalayas. These ranges are located to the south of the Greater Himalayas. They are also known as Himachal. They are 60 to 80 kilometers wide and 1500 to 4500 meters high. The eastern part is covered with forests. There are many parallel ranges in the Lesser Himalayas. Example, Pir Panjal, the Nagatiba, the Mussoorie and the Mahabharata. As lastly it is Darjeeling ranges. Here we will see which these places where are there. It is Pir Panjal, it is in Himachal Pradesh, and Mussoorie it is in Uttarakhand, and Darjeeling it is in West Bengal. They contain many valleys such as Kashmir Valley, Kangra Valley and Kullu Valley, etc. Here Kashmir you are familiar, and Kangra it is in Himachal Pradesh and Kullu also is in Himachal Pradesh. These are also noted for hill stations such as Shimla, Ranikhet, Mussoorie, Nainital and Darjeeling. Again Shimla it is in Himachal Pradesh, Ranikhet also it is in Himachal Pradesh, and Mussoorie it is in Uttarakhand, Nainital also it is in Uttarakhand, and Darjeeling earlier I told it is in West Bengal. Now the third of Himalayas is the Shivalik Hills. They are the outermost range or the foothills located to the south of the main Himalayas. Therefore, they are also known as the Outer Himalaya. They are the lowest range of the Himalayas with a height of 600 to 1500 meters and width varying from 15 to 150 meters. They extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west and Arunachal Pradesh in the east. They have flat bottom structured valleys which are known as dunes. Example, Dehradun. Here Dehradun is the capital city of Uttarakhand. As you can see here, the three parallel ranges of the Greater Himalaya. Here, the first it is on the side, it is the Greater Himalaya. This is also known as Himadri. The second it is Lesser Himalaya. This is also known as Himachal, and the third range is Shivalik Hills. Here Shivalik Hills is also known as the Outer Himalaya. Now we will see the importance of northern mountains. The Himalayas act as a natural fontis and prevent foreign invasion. Fontis means border or boundary. They prevent the cold winds from Central Asia. They obstruct the rain-bearing winds and this causes heavy rainfall. Here obstruct means to block and bearing means to stop, which can carry the load. Third point is this northern mountains obstruct the rain-bearing winds and this causes heavy rainfall. Their slopes have thick forests and are ideal for plantation crops. Here plantation means where we can the cultivation of a single crop on a field, on a farm. It is called as plantation. Like example, tea in Assam. There are a storehouse of minerals and the birthplace of many rivers and waterfalls which are used to generate hydroelectric power. Now we will see the second physical division of India, that is the Northern Great Plain. The Northern Plains lies between the Himalayas and the peninsular plateau of India. It is formed by the depositional work of three river systems, namely the Satluj, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Here the Satluj river flows from Punjab and Pakistan and the Ganga river, it is in India. It flows from Uttarakhand, and the Brahmaputra river, it is between India and Bangladesh, and it flows from the states of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. It is the largest alluvial soil tract in the world, extending east to west, a length of 2,500 kilometers. Here, alluvial soil means the soil which is deposited by the river. It is called as alluvial or the fertile soil. Its average width varies from 240 to 340 meters kilometers. It covers an area of about 7 lakh kilometers. The plains is formed from the fertile alluvium deposited by the rivers flowing from Himalayas. The plain is very flat and the rocks are not exposed on the surface. Here we will see the importance of northern plains. The northern Great Plains is very suitable for irrigation and agriculture as it has perennial river and vast fertile alluvial soil. Here irrigation means the supply of water to the fields or crops. It is called as irrigation. And perennial river means the rivers which are flowing throughout the year. It is called as perennial rivers. The second point is level land supports a network of roads, railways and a means of communication. They are useful for industrialization, urbanization and trade. Here industrialization means formation and growth of industries. It is called as industrialization. Urbanization also the formation and the growth of cities. It is called as urbanization. A number of pilgrim centers are located here. Now we will see the third physical division of India, that is the peninsular plateau. This is the largest physical division of India. It is the oldest land mass. It was being a part of Gondwan land. It lies to the south of the Great Plains and occupies about 16 lakh kilometers. It is roughly triangular in shape and its apex is formed by Cape Kanyakumari in the southern extremely. Here apex means corner and cape means we can say the headland of large size extending into the sea. It is called as cape. Now it is bounded by many hills and plateaus, namely the Aravalli, the Vindhyas, the Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Chota Nagpur ranges, Deccan Plateau, and lastly this Malwa Plateau. The first we will see about the Aravalli hills or the Aravalli ranges. These ranges passes from the states of Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. These Aravalli hills. The Aravalli ranges, the oldest fold mountain, lies to the northwest. Guru Shikhara is the highest peak on the Abu Hills of Aravalli. It is Abu, it's a mountain, Rajasthan. The Vindhyas range, and this Vindhyas range passes from the states of Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Chhattisgarh. The Vindhyas range flanks the northern edge of the Narmada Valley. The Satpur range runs in an east-west direction south of the Vindhyas in between Narmada and Tapti river. Here the Satpur it is a mountain range of the valley. It passes from the states of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and few areas of Maharashtra, and the two rivers are flowing here, that Narmada and Tapti river. That Narmada river is from Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh and Tapti river is in from Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Now we will see about the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. First we will see about the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats are a continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India from the Tapti Valley to Kanyakumari. They are also known as Sahyadris. They are very steep on the western side and the gentle on the eastern side. Borghat, Talghat and Palghat are important passes across the Western Ghats. These all three ghats are passes in Maharashtra. Okay. Now next we will see south of the Palghat Gap, the Western Ghats continues And here Anamudi is the highest peak in South India. This point is related to Western Ghats, and especially this Western Ghats running from the states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Goa and Maharashtra. Now next we will see about the Eastern Ghats, and this Eastern Ghats, the states which are come under that, it is Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and few parts of Karnataka and Kerala. The Eastern Ghats run almost parallel to the east coast of India. They extend from Mahanadi Valley in the north towards the Nilgiri Hills in the south, where they join the Western Ghats. They are lower than the Western Ghats and are not continuous. The highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Armakonda. Now next we will see the Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is bounded the Satpur and the Vindhyas in the northwest. In Deccan Plateau also the 8 states are there, like Telangana, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. These are the states in Deccan Plateau. The Western Ghats in the west and the Eastern Ghats in the east, and Mahadev and the Maikal range in the north. The Chota Nagpur Plateau lies in the northern eastern part of peninsula. Here, as you can see in the map, that the peninsular plateau, in that firstly it is, we will see for the Aravalli Hills, that already I have said it is passes from the states of Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat, this Aravalli Hills. And afterwards that Malwa Plateau very next to it is, this is also from Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh states will be here. And that Vindhyas is afterwards itself, the Vindhyas also, that hills are there here. This also from the states of Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, like this. And afterwards itself the Deccan Plateau. Okay, mostly the 8 states of our South India will be here in Deccan Plateau. And afterwards it is Eastern Ghats and that Western Ghats. Okay, these things are there in Peninsular Plateau. Now we will see the importance of Peninsular Plateau. Peninsular Plateau is rich in minerals, thick forests and biodiversity. It has influence on the southwest monsoons, and it is covered with the black soil which is useful for agriculture. The Western Ghats are the birthplace of many South Indian rivers which are useful for the generation of hydroelectricity. It is also well known for hill stations such as Ooty. Ooty is a place in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, the 4th physical division of India is the coastal plains. The plateau of peninsular India is threatened by coastal plains on either side. It extends from the Rann of Kutch in the west to the delta of Ganga in the east. Here, the Rann of Kutch, it is a place in Gujarat, and the Ganga river already has it from the Uttarakhand state. The coastal plains can be divided into 2 parts, the western coastal plain and the eastern coastal plain. First we will see the western coastal plains. The western coastal plains lies between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. It extends from the Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. It is narrow, steep and rocky. It can be divided into 3 parts. The Konkan coast, which lies to the south of Gujarat plain, extends from Daman to Goa. The second is the Karnataka coast, which extends from Goa to Mangalore. And the third is the Malabar coast, which extends from Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Now, the second, it is eastern coastal plains. This extends from the north of the river Sundrekha to Kanyakumari. It lies between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. It borders then the western coastal plains. Many rivers of South India flow across the plain and they have formed deltas. That is the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and Kaveri. Here first we will see what is the meaning of delta. Delta means a land where river empties into the water body. It is called as delta. Here the 3 rivers, as I said, that Mahanadi, this river is from the states of Chhattisgarh and Odisha. and the Godavari river is from Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. Krishna river is from Karnataka, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, and Kaveri river is from Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Traditionally, the eastern coastal plain is divided into two parts. The northern part, Sikar, which lies to the north of river Krishna, and the southern part, which is called Coromandel coast. Here the southern part, it is come in the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Some lagoons are found in these coastal plains, such as Lake Chikila, Lake Polycate and Lake Kolekor. Here, that Kolekot, it is a long place. First we have to see what is the meaning of lagoons. Means a shallow body of water, it is called as lagoons. And Polycate, it is founded on the eastern coast of river Kaveri. Now we will see. As you can see, the fourth physical division of India is the coastal plains. Here it's divided into western coastal plain and secondly eastern coastal plain. The few important coasts are there, that is Konkan coast, Malabar coast, Coromandel coast, Now we will see the importance of coastal plains. The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors which help in carrying a foreign trade. Harbor means a place where ships are loading and unloading. It is called as harbors. They are Kandela, Mumbai, Marmugao, Kochi, Vishakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. Here we will see in which state these places are there. Kandla, it is in Kutch in Gujarat. Mumbai is in Maharashtra. Marmugao, it is in Goa. Kochi is in Kerala. Vishakhapatnam is in Andhra Pradesh. Kolkata is in West Bengal. The coastal plains are useful for fishing, shipbuilding, agriculture and production of salt. Many beaches are found along the coast and they attract tourists. The backwaters are useful for navigation. Now the next we will see the islands of India. There are about 247 islands in India. Islands means the land which is surrounded by water on all four sides. Of these, 204 are in the Bay of Bengal and 43 are in Arabian Sea. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are in Bay of Bengal. The Lakshadweep Islands are in the Arabian Sea and are formed by corals. Here that corals means a hard substance which is made up of limestone or rock. It is called as corals. Hope it is clear for you all the four physical divisions of India. If you are having any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you.